Right, so we will be getting to hear from our team, that is Timothy Otieno, who's going to be talking to us about that process that is currently ongoing. But for now, though, I want us to have a conversation here in studio. And let me now just join my panel of guests. I don't know if it's a panel, there are two of them, but brilliant minds, I must say. Dan Okach, thank you very much for joining us. He is an advocate and also a political analyst. We also have Marcus Aganga from the Elections Observers Group. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. So let's start with this verification process, very important and critical stage in this whole electioneering period. But is 30 days enough? Chebukati has just said that we're not giving you an extension, but is that enough for the 19.5 million Kenyans, if that's the number at the end of the day, to actually verify their details?
My take, Betty, is that that is enough. And the reason for that is that you'll remember, I think 3 months ago, when people were actually registering to be voters, there was also a chance for you to go and again verify, ensure that your details are there and they are correctly captured. And I believe majority of Kenyans took their time and actually verified.
Did they do that really? These are the same Kenyans who procrastinate to the very last week. That's when they're rushing to do these things.
The beauty about even the current process is that they have launched is that it is now digitized. It's not even just a manual kind of check. It's now digitized and it can take a very short period. However, if someone does not take advantage of this particular process, they'll only have themselves to blame. And the last round of petitions, persons who are actually subjecting themselves to be candidates, you'd actually find that parties have approved, yet you find that their names, as far as the register is concerned in terms of the parties, they belong to other parties. They never checked, and there was a way of checking, and there was that window. So that even this time round, it's important that they check. We'd rather have numbers in droves starting to check rather than having the last minute rush and then we want extensions. That's what they're trying to deal with. And remember, the time frame is a bit restricted because of the court rulings that we've had, and they must have time to prepare.
All right, interesting. Marcus, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one.
I think it is it's sufficient time to be able to verify your details. Again, in addition to the court rulings, we also have electoral timelines within which certain systems must be in place. And so then I think we want to just urge Kenyans to come out in large numbers to verify their details.
Even if it's the last week.
Even if it's the last week, yeah.
And then you know the interesting, and we'll come back to this conversation shortly, the interesting thing is you talk about timelines, but even IEBC, they've just extended the period in which, parties should be submitting their nomination lists. So timelines, is it when it favors IEBC, then they have to increase the timeline? When it doesn't, then they go back on the set timeline. So we'll be getting back to that in a few minutes. But for now, I want us to link up with Nick Wambua. Remember, like I mentioned, WIPA is today having a meeting to really talk about the action that Muthama could face, the disciplinary action that he could face if the top organ passes a resolution to the effect at that meeting today. And remember that Muthama quit the party on Monday, accusing the party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, of dictatorship. Nick, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So who exactly is going to be part of this meeting, and what is the agenda and the way forward that we're likely to see at the end of the day?
Thank you very much, Betty, right from Lavington, the WIPA headquarters, whereby the party's National Executive Committee will be meeting to deliberate on several matters. One is the Muthama issue, as you mentioned there, whereby Muthama is set of down to WIPA party. And today, the committee is meeting to decide on the future of the senator from Machakos, Johnson Muthama, in regards to whether he is going to remain or he is going to receive any kind of disciplinary measures. And also, we're expecting that the committee is going to deliberate on how to get a new or an acting chairperson for the National Executive Committee, because as we all know, Muthama was the chairman for the National Executive Committee for the WIPA party. And also on that matter, the second issue is that the WIPA party could also be that is the National Executive Committee could also be deliberating on matters, the party primaries, to see or to do a postmortem on what happened and maybe the plan that they have to do, that they have to come up with to ensure that the mistakes that were made in the party primaries that do not occur again in the general election. And therefore, right now, now, Betty, we are joined by Mr. Mawathe, who is the WIPA coordinator for Nairobi County, to maybe just to shed light on some of the matters. Mr. Mawathe, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Are we expecting to maybe get an acting chairperson for the WIPA National Executive Committee today?
Actually, we are focusing today on how to get win seats, in all the counties in Nairobi County. We seem to be zeroing in, rather you seem to be zeroing in on specific, probably 2 or 3 matters or 2 or 3 individuals. But this has nothing. A NEC meeting cannot be about just 3 individuals or three points. We had a nomination that people went through, and people have. There's always a good idea to do a postmortem that will be done today, and then also preparation for how to go and win gubernatorial seats and the parliamentary seats and the senatorial seats, women rep and MCAs. So we are looking forward to a very nice and friendly NEC meeting today, and also a very nice and peaceful election in the future. As you are aware, we have a rally in Nakuru as NASA. So there's a lot of preparation that is being done today. This has nothing to do with a specific individual. NEC meeting is not about a specific individual. Yes.
But on the same matter, the NEC, the chairman now quit WIPA party, that is Johnston Muthama. What is his fate in the party right now as you stand, or what is the fate of the chairmanship of the committee?
First of all, he's a co-chair together with together with 3 others. There is a Rengo, there is a Eseli. So there are people still who are able to still continue working, and we as WIPA have not asked anybody to leave or expel anybody or ask anybody to leave the party. We are, as you noticed on Thursday, 2 days ago at Bomas of Kenya, we invited him, we welcomed him, we told him he's one of us, and we are looking to grow the house of WIPA, not to reduce the number of people within WIPA. So he's still a member of WIPA, and he's still his name is still within the list of the members of the candidates from WIPA. So we certainly he's yet to come and communicate officially. So what we know for sure is he's still a member and he's welcome. Muthama has been a very big part of the integral part of WIPA, and we still continue as the party leader said, he still welcomes him.
Yes. Apart from maybe arranging of planning for the rally in Nakuru, together with the party primaries, what are the other matters that we're expecting to be in the discussion today?
Actually, I know for sure you would not expect me to share that before it's tabled on the, in front of the chairman. I would be totally out of order to attempt to even talk about that or even share that. There are a few things to be discussed. So let the matters be brought on in front of the committee, and then will be discussed. After that, we've already called the press, and we are going to be talking to you and addressing you on issues that we've already discussed. I cannot discuss with you the press before issues are discussed here. So certainly, since you'll be around, stick around, and we'll have a press conference and be able to answer. Actually, the Secretary General is coming, and he'll be able to to answer all those points.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mawathe.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Betty, that was Mr. Mawathe, the Nairobi WIPA coordinator. Therefore, we are expecting that at the end of the meeting, which is yet to start, we are going to get complete answers as to matters, just as he mentioned, the party primaries together with planning for the Nakuru rally, NASA rally, that is going to happen. But he dismissed the issue of discussing the Muthama in this committee, which we also expect that he maybe was not clear or he was not maybe ready to speak about it. But we have, according to reports, we have it that they could still touch on the issue because he's a NASA co-principal representing the WIPA party. So these are things we're expecting to get after the meeting. Back to you, Betty.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick Wambua, for that update. He's going to be updating us live from Lavington about the ongoings at the WIPA NEC meeting. All right, let's continue with our conversation here. I'll hear your thoughts about that shortly, but let's talk about the timelines that we were talking about. What is your feeling about IEBC extending the date that parties should submit their lists to Sunday, the 14th of May? Is that a good thing? Is it going to affect the larger, processes that should be taking place?
I don't think it will, because a number of these timelines are administrative. They are meant to help IEBC to work in such a way that they meet the broader timelines. And I think they're also reading from a script that in order to be effective in discharging their mandates, they need to be flexible, as long as the broader timelines that are anchored in law are not tampered with. So I think this is good because they want to make sure that everyone that wants to participate in the process are accorded that opportunity to be able to do it.
Right.
So I think from the observer's point of view, we look at what is administrative and policy, and also what is legally anchored in law.
Right.
And I think they're doing very well in that regard.
They're doing really well.
Yes, in that regard.
That's
However,
encouraging, at least if it's coming from an elections observers.
Yeah.
Duncan, let's talk about yesterday Wafula Chebukati came out and he actually defended the move to appeal that High Court ruling about who should pronounce the presidential results with finality. Do you think that because he said that, they are also entitled to hear what the Court of Appeal has to say and what the Court of Appeal has to advise. Do you think they really need that? Because it's all entrenched in the Constitution. It's very, very clear.
Betty, I've had an issue with that position by the IBC chairman and the entire IBC. And the reason for that is that the Constitution is absolutely clear on this particular issue, such that the returning officers will actually pronounce, and they have the powers to pronounce in as far as their jurisdiction is concerned. And that is what IBC will take. Thereafter, they just relay that information to the National Tallying Center, where now the chairman and the commissioners are. They just actually tally it, and their work is to announce. The ruling by the three High Court judges did not actually say that these returning officers announce results in terms of presidential elections, such that they can declare that this person has actually been elected the president. No. They will announce in as far as their jurisdiction, from the presidential results to the county representative results, then relate to the National Tallying Center. However, you find that IBC is, for one reason or another, trying to tell us they don't even trust their own officers. These are their officers. They are not officers of any party. If they don't trust these officers, then there's a bigger problem that Kenya is actually going to face. And that is what we faced when we were dealing with the 2007 debacle, where the chairman then, the late Kivuitu, said, I don't know what my officers are doing. And that is what we are working at. And we've been working at it for 10 years now. So that if you are still, the fear is still the same, then there's a big problem. And actually, if that is what they're telling us, Kenyans should brace themselves for problems. But what I will be expecting is that they will be telling us our officers are well trained. We did interviews. The returning officers are actually there. And more importantly, Betty, we now have the Election Offences Act, which even prescribes offences which can be committed by IBC staff themselves. So that announcing false results is actually an election offense, which has penalties, and they will individually face that. Once we have all these in place, I don't know the fear, because the fear will be, and that is what has happened previously, that results are declared in the constituency level. Once it is relayed, different results are actually relayed in terms of national tallying.
Right.
That is a recipe for chaos.
It is that is what many critics are saying. And Marcus, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. Why, first of all, would IBC sort of like agitate or kind of like want to really be at the forefront to announce this results with finality? What do you call it? What informs this particular case for IBC?
First of all, let me say this from ILOG's perspective, because it is important that we understand where ILOG sits in this matter. One is that ILOG has refused to take any side, because if you were to support the High Court ruling, you'd be perceived to be supporting NASA, because NASA has said if...
but is in the Constitution the Constitution?
Yes,
it is in the Constitution.
Yeah, I know, but what the position we have taken as ILOG, that the rule of law must prevail. And as we speak now, the courts have pronounced themselves on this matter. And I've read an opinion, a judgment on it. And so as we move to the elections, as what the court said is what we want to be followed. Now, if IBC, for one reason or the other, succeed in this petition, then again, ILOG will ask for the rule of law to be obeyed. That's all we are
But
saying.
isn't that too a neutral stand to take for ELOG? I mean, ELOG should really be one of the people who we look up to when we need some answers like this ones. Don't you think that's a very neutral perspective to take?
It is what we are saying, that the law must be followed, and the courts.
And what is the law?
And I think
we
and the
have
courts,
a lawyer here.
the courts,
What is that
the
law
courts,
that you're saying
the
should
courts
be followed?
interpret the High Court has jurisdiction to interpret matters that like these ones, and I think the courts have already spoken, and then even the IBC themselves are bound by that ruling. Number two, I don't understand why IBC is seen to be the commissioners, while even their returning officers are IBC. And as I say,
it's the same.
IBC means ranging from the clerks to the PO, to the RO, and to the top commissioners. They are both staff of IBC. And I think try to say that we are being denied a chance to pronounce these results, yet the RO is IBC. So in that case, I find a discord that is there. However, sitting where the chairman sits, I think he feels that because there's a need to verify, there's a need to hold someone accountable. So I think he feels that if the RO were to announce the results with finality at the area of jurisdiction, there's a feeling that one, the powers to verify has been removed from me. Number two, then what would be the function then of them being?
But isn't that going to the same problem that we had in 2007, where the results that were announced at constituency level are not the ones that were getting to the tallying center, to the national tallying center?
Yeah. And the other question, just before you proceed, let's ask ourselves: where do you think mischief occurs in elections during the transmission of results? Do you think
you tell us? You've observed it.
I mean, just as a Kenyan, why do you think if we were to put in place safeguards, where do you think mischief would be occurring? Some people think that it occurs at the national tallying center. Some would think it occurs at either at the constituency or at the county tallying centers. So that I think NASA's main submission is that mischief, and as you noticed during 2013, a number of agents were denied entry at the Bomas of Kenya, which was the national tallying center. And so that this ruling for them is really, really, really important, because then that mischief is curtailed from there.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll continue the conversation shortly. And we're also focusing on police recruitment. Remember, like I mentioned, this is happening across all 47 counties, and the target is to recruit 10,000 young people to join the police service.